Hi, Darren Hall here from Bet72.com again. Just a brief video to highlight a product which, no doubt, if you're regular visitors to our Facebook and Twitter pages, you will see me regularly waxing lyrical about, and it's the excellent in-play trading scanner from the Trading Football guys. Green screens after green screens on the football throughout the season. And yesterday afternoon we had a couple of hours to kill. We jumped on board, and this really is just to highlight how it can pick out and identify opportunities in matches that you otherwise just probably wouldn't even know were going on, let alone would actually get involved with. We're actually on the OddsMatcher Pro community page here, which is the private members Facebook page for anyone who's got OddsMatcher Pro or is a member of our horse racing site, tradingthehorses.com. Very profitable little group. We're up to 137 members now, and lots of daily advice in there and profits. But that's a little plug for another video sometime. But what I want to show you here, just something we put up in here yesterday, where we went through and picked up on the in-play scanner, highlighted a few games which, like I say, wouldn't have normally have picked up on just because they were, a few of them were quite obscure games. But we'll show you how we use the stats in order to then take out some of the strategies, and some of the strategies which are included free within the software as well, in order to make a profit. So if we just hop onto here and let's take a look at the screens here. We've got a Scandinavian game where we picked up some labour draw profits. Again, these are all games where we were getting on board when the score was 0-0, but the in-play trading stats were suggesting that there were going to be goals, just purely based on the shots on target, the possessional stats, and also the unique power index rating, which also identifies with games that are actually looking like they're going to produce goals as well. So if we just scroll through here, Italian game there, where again we got on the 2.5 goal market when it was 0-0. Let's cash out there for £29 profit. This was a game in Finland where we got involved again with the laying the draw, but also the over-under 1.5 and 2.5 goal markets. Won on those two and lost 99p because I think the game actually ended, not sure if it was 2-0 or 1-0, I can't remember. There was only 2 goals in the game anyway, so but we picked up another £24 from that particular game. Again, more obscure games if you like, a lot of these teams you won't have even heard of, but again the stats stacked up. Got in at 0-0, 2 goals came in quick succession, £28 there, and in this particular game we'd actually laid the draw as well, so we picked up another £8.97 as well on that market. Similarly, in La Liga we were involved with the Sociedad Granada game again when it was 0-0. Granada went on actually to win 3-0, so we'd actually picked up our labour draw profits there, but also we were on the 2.5 goal market again because of the way the stats were stacking up. So you can see there, £39 from that particular game. And these are all very low liability trades as well, because we are getting involved when the games are 0-0, so we're sort of taking a contrary view as to what's actually going to happen. But the reason why we do that is if we go across onto the actual software here and we're looking at this is Monday the 18th of May, so we've got a few games which are off and running already for the late afternoon, early evening fixture list. Again, going to be some quite obscure ones in here, but just to show you that we can pick up games from anywhere. If they go and play on Betfair, then we've got access to them basically. But the scanner software down here is giving us a match day. It's giving us a match day card, and these are all the matches initially in sort of chronological order when they're actually kicking off. So we've got the time elapsed, the current score, the teams involved. We've got the current in-play home away draw odds. We've got the price that they were at kickoff, the current matched amount in that particular market, because again that's important when you're trading. You need to know there's enough liquidity in there to actually get involved with it, and also the over-under 2.5 goal market, which again is sort of bread and butter in terms of football trading, will be one of the markets that you look to actually get involved with. And again, you can see these are fairly obscure type games, because there's very little liquidity in here. We would sort of be looking to not get anything below 5 figures really, so we'd be looking down at some of these slightly more high profile games. We've also got the odds there for the correct score markets, and then this is the sort of meat of the sandwich, if you like, which is the in-play stats. So this is going to show us stats on shots on target, and these are all sortable, by the way, if we just click on the little icon there, so we can bring all the high action games to the very top. I mean, a lot of the time you'll see that these are going to be games that are nearing the end, because naturally they've had more time for things to have gone on. But we can sort of quickly see that one that immediately sort of jumps out at me looking at this is a game here, only 53 minutes gone. We've already had 7 attempts on goal, and the away side here look like they're getting involved, but to be honest, I wouldn't get involved with that just because of the amount of liquidity perhaps within that market. But you can see here they also get highlighted with figures if they're suggesting that a team is sort of really on the up, and these are calculated. See, they've got a goal gone in there on this game, and you can see there, looking at the stats there, 54 minutes, 7 shots on target to 0. If we hover over it, we even get the times as well, so we can see the distribution and the way perhaps a first half compares to a second half and that sort of thing. So yeah, we've got shots on target, off target, corners, penalties, free kicks, red and yellow cards, possession, and as I say, the unique pressure index as well, which is interesting because it basically compounds the possession with the shots on target over a 10-minute time frame. So that gives you an idea that a team is really sort of starting to press for a goal. So one of the strategies we could use is to just actually lay the current score. So if we can see a team is well on top, particularly when it's nearing, towards the end of a game, perhaps, then some of the prices here are going to be, we've got there like the 0-2 scoreline, which is now 1.19. That may, if the pressure index got up a little bit more, then we may just look to lay the current score, for example, because it looks as though somebody is pressing for another goal late on. And you know yourself how many late goals get scored. I mean, these are obviously fairly obscure sort of leagues, but even in the high profile leagues get a lot of late goals, and I think that's really why we've been profiting so much as well. So the sort of things that we look for, there's a lot of information there, and you can imagine if you pick this up on a busy weekend, afternoon or evening, then you're going to be inundated with stats. So of course we've got some filter options here, so we can go in and actually filter any of the main markets, and we can filter by price. So one of the things we might look to do, particularly if we're looking at lay the draw type strategies, is we only get involved with the lay the draw is when the actual draw price goes odds on. So immediately that filters everything down here. You can see both of these games are coming near to the end. The draws are trading at 1.35, 1.31. We can see some more information there, but again, as a game will actually come back in to the market, we will see games obviously appearing and disappearing again because the prices are suspending, they're coming back, and then the market's adjusting. So these will disappear fairly quickly because no way a draw is going to be priced at this sort of level when it's not a draw, obviously, because what's happened there is the team's just scored. The market's reforming at the moment until money gets put in at a higher level, then it's going to show up there. But generally, there you go, it's disappeared. We've got the first two there, which are up there. We can look for certain points in the game, so we can only look at games after half time, for example, or we're only interested in any games where, it's not going to happen, but any games where the draw goes odds on in the first half, for example. We can just put the slider bar there at 45 minutes, so that's first half games where the draw is odds on, which unless you've got some very dodgy Italian game is probably not going to happen. And then also we can filter out here based on the money side of it as well. So if we only want to consider games where there's more than £10,000 in the match odds market, for example, we can do that, and that will take away the first selection there, because again we want to know there's enough liquidity in the market so we can actually trade our way through the game. And one of the ones we like to do would, if we just remove this index here, that's going to bring some more games into play. So one of the ones we would look to do, say based around the Labour draw, or perhaps lay in the under 2.5 goal market, would be we want a minimum of say 4 shots on target, and we look for games where there's been no goals scored. And here we go, we've got one come up here. Not a lot of liquidity, but it's half time. There's been 6 shots on target, which is quite sort of promising, and it seems to have picked up towards half time as well, so that shows us some attacking intent going on there. We've got the under 2.5 goal market, which started off around about evens and is now in at 1.19, so that would suggest that could well be a opportunity for a lay. You know, even if you laid it for £100, it's £19 liability. We can give ourselves some cover on maybe the 0-0, for example. So if the game does say 0-0, then we've covered some of our stake. Or again, like I say, we can just view it. We only need really either a goal early in the second half or 2 goals probably before 75-80 minutes. That gives us quite a good timeline. That's given us sort of half an hour, 35 minutes worth of action in order to then, you know, be able to take out a profit from that particular market, which, bearing in mind, you know, the action is starting to happen, or was starting to happen before half time. Again, we need to add this onto our own research, so we'd pick it, we'd go down and look at that particular game. We might look at the recent statistics of the side. You know, have they been involved in a lot of 0-0s recently? Has there been high scoring games between them? Is it a meaningful game, particularly at this time of the season? Then we don't perhaps want to get involved with sort of dead rubbers where perhaps teams aren't really that sort of bothered. So there's additional research to go. It's not just a blind pick up and go for it type strategy, but it's certainly one where you can get involved in the market fairly sort of cheaply. You've got a lot of time, a lot of match time on your hands in order to, you know, the price doesn't have to go that far up in order for you to actually make a profit, because we're already right down at the lower level of the market anyway. So that's just one of the strategies, and actually within the actual software itself, we've actually got 7 different new strategies there within the software itself, which will give you some examples. It also talks about checking up on some of the recent stats as well. There's additional stats as well on the Betfair pages now when you actually click through, so we can just click straight through on any of these, for example. So if we were interested, again, if we find that particular game, I don't know how much information it's going to give us, but if we click through here onto the actual Betfair market itself, then okay, so this is in the Portuguese second division, and we would look through, say, some of the recent stats that were there. So there was a 0-0 between these sides last year. The away side, their last game was a 0-0 draw as well. So, you know, we need to look at perhaps a few more stats to back that up. But again, you know, if we're talking about the 2.5 goal market, you can see here 1.19, which is what it showed. So fairly cheap, you know, even if we just you know, we would wait for that price perhaps, but even if we take a £50 lay of that market, we're only looking at a £9.50 liability. So as I say, you can sort of counteract that perhaps with a cover sort of half your stakes, for example. Sorry, that would be if we were going in double, wouldn't it? But we could just cover half our stakes, putting a couple of pound on the 0-0, for example. Maybe trade that out a little bit later just to green up on the other scores, and then we've taken some of our liability off. So there's lots of different ways you can play it. The strategies are described within the software as well. So but really, I just wanted to show you that there's so, even with the, I think it's coming towards the end of the season, but we've got a lot of games going on. Scandinavia, we've got MLS, Copa America's coming up. There's still a wide range of games throughout the summer, and before we know, we're going to be back into the league action again. And the beauty of this is, like I say, it's going to identify matches which you wouldn't ordinarily find as well. You can imagine just trying to go through the standard football card and the football markets here, then there's going to be, you can see here there's so many games just going on, and this is just on a standard Monday night. Now obviously a lot of them will get filtered out because there's no liquidity in there, but for example, to be able to keep abreast of what's going on there, one of the other things that we can do is we can set up email alerts, so we don't actually even have to be here by the actual computer. We can actually set up what our filters are, so we would then get an email alert, or we can get a sound alert if we're doing something else on another screen or another machine or whatever, so that when our criteria hit in play, we know then it's an opportunity to perhaps jump on board. So this is typically what I tend to do, particularly, like I say, for the labour draws. I'll just go in, put in the figures there, put in that, and then see these games are closing out as draws anyway, and then we might have an email alert on, or if this is just on my trading machine, I'm doing something else on the main machine there, we've got an audible alert as well, so that when that actually beeps, I can flick over to the other screen. Right, we've got a potential candidate there, click through and decide whether it's worth getting involved within the actual market itself. So anyway, like I say, a very profitable afternoon on very sort of low volume stakes as well. That's the other thing. We're obviously got very sort of small liability, so you can give this a test out. You can try it out on very sort of small banks and start to build up your bank that way as well. So it's certainly well worth a visit. There's a link to the software at the bottom of this video as well, so do worth check it out. And if you've got any questions or want any more information or any other demonstrations by me about how the software works, or ideas on any of the strategies that we use, then do drop us a line, info@bet72.com, and we'll be delighted to answer any of your questions or queries. Okay, I hope that was useful, and I might just go and take a look and see what's going on in the Monday night markets. Okay, happy trading, and I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers.